Stark Media here on location at Perry High School with Walter Tidenberg. Walter, tell me a little bit here about today, what this means. You've had your signing. You're going to be playing rugby down there at Ohio State. What does that mean to you right now? What does it mean to have your family here watching for this moment, and you getting to do what a lot of high school kids don't? You know, typically your last rep, your last game, it's the last time you get to line up and play. But for you, you know, you're going to get to advance, go forward, and become an amateur athlete now and compete for one of the greatest schools in the country.
Right. It means a lot to me, especially because I get to represent rugby, Panther rugby, and just the starting of the sport in the United States, and just growing it. I'm really happy to be a part of that, as well as I believe that rugby brings a lot of physical and mental things to my life, and it's really helped me develop as a person. So I'm really excited to see what that'll do for me in the future and how it will help my education and just my personality as a whole.
So your foundation in rugby, what does that look like? I know that these two guys sitting over here, they've had a huge impact, but what age, what grade did you get into it, and what was it about this game that when you started it just stuck, it got in your blood?
So I believe it was summer of my 7th grade year. My best friend Armando said that they needed a larger individual on the team because they were looking for bigger kids. And at the time, I was a 250-pound middle schooler, so wasn't in the best of shape, and I was looking for a new sport, and I had never found a sport that I really stuck to, that I really enjoyed. And so I figured I'd give it a shot. I had turned down multiple times, you know, saying that, you know, the sport was crazy, that kind of stuff. And so I convinced my parents to let me go out and do a practice. And I met Doug and Bull, and I thought they were amazing to talk to. They were showing me videos of the All Blacks, and I was just amazed by the sport. And so I'd pretty much given the okay that I was down to play the sport for long term. And this was the first sport that I really drew to right away. I didn't have to force myself to go to practice. You know, I really wanted to go. And I remember my parents going to the first game. I hadn't played in that game because I was new, and you know, I hadn't been registered and things. But so we're sitting up on this hill, and we're watching this rugby game take place at the bottom of the hill, and we see, as soon as we crest the hill, we see this kid get dumped to the ground, and you hear him hit the soil on top of the hill, and it was just the biggest hit I had seen at that time of my life. And my mother just looks at me and she's like, "What did you do? What did you sign up for?" So that was my start, and I really want to see where I can go with it. I've developed as a player, and it's brought a new level of athleticism to my life that I never had before. So I want to see what my physical limits are and push them.
Okay, so just down the hall here in a couple hours, the wrestlers are going to be taking on #1 St. Paris Graham, and people always say wrestlers, rugby players, you guys got to kind of be a little bit crazy, right? I mean, but there's also sides of the sport that maybe people don't understand. You know, it's not all just, hey, we're out here playing without pads on and we're tackling each other, but there's things that you guys do that you're taught by these guys, that you learn on how to play the game the right way, and maybe eliminate certain injuries, or talk about some of the fallacies behind rugby where people just think it's just, you know, you're out there trying to kill each other and it's brutal. You know, for me, I look at the game of football and I think if more football players played and tackled defensively like rugby players, they would probably be in better situations, right? Because you're learning to keep your head out of the deal. You're learning to, you know, use your shoulder more and the different techniques. Talk about the game of rugby and how that really, what you've learned about the interior part of the game.
Absolutely. So whenever someone looks up rugby, immediately they see YouTube videos of, you know, the biggest smash hits, you know, the knockout hits, you know, and so they get this notion that that's what it's all about. You're just a Unabomber, you're going out there to crash into some skulls. And so I think what's really missed is the aspect of the game where you really build a brotherhood with your team. You learn how to be a gentleman. You learn how to respect the other people. You learn how to go into conflicts to where you can keep a level head and you can still respect your opposition and still give your all on your side of the field. And so I feel like in overlooking that, you're really overlooking the game as a whole and the aspects that it can really bring to someone's life. And on the football aspect, I really find it advantageous for the players that play football in the fall and then rugby in the spring, because they truly do have better skills in both games. They're able to tackle better, they have better endurance, they have better strength, they just are better athletes overall. So the mixing of the two sports is just, it's really good.
Yeah, if there's one guy I guess you could ask about that, it would be Ohio State alumni Nate Ebner. I mean, you look what he did.
Yeah.
Standout rugby player, a part of the USA team, goes on to win Super Bowls for the New England Patriots. I'm sure that, I mean, all in all, the game of rugby really probably helped excel his football game. And the only YouTube video I remember was the guy that was like 400 some pounds, and he's just trucking over everybody,
right.
and all these bodies are just dragging and hanging off of him. But, you know, it's exciting. And, you know, as we sit here, TJ Downing, Walter Tidenberg here at Perry High School for your signing today, what does this mean, man? I mean, this is a chance to further your education, to go to one of the greatest universities. Tell everybody out there, what do they need to know about the Ohio State University and their rugby team?
Well, I did a lot of school shopping. I really wanted to find something that would check all my boxes, that would be everything that I wanted, and it wouldn't be something that I would regret later down the road. Because we've all heard the stories where people show up at a campus and, you know, they didn't really look into it, they didn't visit, and they're not happy.
Now you're stuck.
You're stuck in, you're in debt, and it's just not a good situation. So I was looking at a lot of colleges, and you know, they would be good on academics, but they wouldn't have a rugby team, or they would have a really good rugby team, but they didn't have what I wanted in academics. And so I was really having a hard time finding that balance. And I had kind of overlooked Ohio State, because not everybody talks about them as, you know, being that upper level school, whereas I think they are heading towards that. As I looked deeper, I noticed that Ohio State was on the top of the list. You know, they were within the top 5 of things, and they were able to mark boxes in so many different categories. So I believe that they will have so many opportunities that I won't have an issue, even if I need to change my mind on things, or I just think they will have all the resources that I will need to be successful.
You know, I was fortunate growing up. I was able to be around guys like Doug, Danny Sturts, Johnny Borsellino, the guys that really were, you know, the heart and soul of the Canton Mad Dogs. And really, Danny was a guy that it was, you know, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but it was his passion to make sure that rugby got into high schools around here. And he started that, and these guys have continued it because of players like you. What kind of message would you give to athletic directors around Stark County, Northeast Ohio, students walking the hallways that may not be sure, like, hey, you know, maybe football's not for me, but let's maybe try rugby? What kind of message would you give to them about the impact of what, let's just say, rugby's had on Perry High School?
I mean, it can be summed up in one sentence. It can change your life. I mean, it changed my life. And I mean, you will find a whole slew of friends and mentalities and just so many aspects of your life that will be changed by the sport. And you'll meet so many great people, and it's just, it will change your life, every aspect of it.
Yeah, well, when you think about getting a chance to go down there to Columbus, and it's just different. You know, you're going to be on your own. You're a little bit a ways from home. What are some things that you're looking forward to in college? What do you have already know what you're going to major in? Do you know the avenue that you want to take there? And what are you expecting out of really the next 4 years? Is this something that you say, hey, maybe this develops into something that even continues further after college?
Yeah, so on the rugby aspect, I will pursue that as long as I can, and I'm going to continue to give 120% and just see where it takes me. I will continue to put forth my best foot, and wherever I can go with it, I will go with it, because I enjoy the sport so much, and I want it to be a part of my life as long as it can. On the academic side, the current plan is to double major, one major being in astronomy and astrophysics, and then the second being in data analytics. and then minoring in Spanish. Currently, academics is very important to me, and I would like to pursue a mathematic career down the road because I tend to be good at that. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, busy course load, man. It's going to be fun. Hey, listen, I appreciate you taking time out here from Stark Media to be able to come down here, interview you, talk about your signing today, talk about the Perry Panthers and your history in rugby, and head down there at Ohio State. And I wish you nothing but the best, man. Great luck to you. All the best, and give them help.
Will do.
All right, we'll be back with more.